I like the dog. It's friendly.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Box Office Poison. My name is Moxie McMurder, and the spooky season is nearly upon us. So what better time to highlight one of my favourite BBC ghost stories? Before we get into that, I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to John Crates for buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link to my coffee account in the description box below, and if you'd like a shout out in my next video, buying me a coffee secures your YouTube legacy. Thanks again, John. You are a legend. If you like ghost stories and anthology-style series like Inside Number 9, then I'm sure you're gonna dig Crooked House. But not everybody knows about it, so let's talk about it. The BBC and the UK in general has a rich history of ghost stories, particularly around Christmas time, and I've no doubt I'll be covering some of these at some point. But even though Crooked House first aired at Christmas, it doesn't actually have any links to Christmas or even winter. But it definitely evokes that feeling of a cosy, fireside ghost story. I've watched Crooked House a few times, but I hadn't watched it in a few years, so decided to stick it on, and it's so good, I decided to make this little video to try and entice you with its charms. So what is Crooked House? Well, for starters, it's not the Agatha Christie murder mystery. I don't know why this is the title they went for, considering it's the same title as a very well-known Agatha Christie story.
Choices.
Crooked House is a mini-series written by Mark Gatiss of The League of Gentlemen and Sherlock fame. He was very much inspired by the sorts of ghost stories that the BBC would adapt around Christmas. A Ghost Story for Christmas is a series of short television films originally broadcast on BBC One between 1971 and 1978. These short films heavily inspired Gatiss to write his own version of a Christmas ghost story. And again, while Christmas is not mentioned or even hinted at in Crooked House, it has the right atmosphere for you to dim the lights, curl up with a cuppa, and get spooked. Originally, Gatiss wanted it as one TV film, but the BBC were concerned it might get lost in the Christmas schedule, so it was broken up into 3 episodes, shown on consecutive nights in December 2008. But it was intended to be watched as one film, so the DVD has it edited as such. Lee Ingleby plays Ben, a schoolteacher who finds an old door knocker in his garden, and he takes it to a local museum to see if anyone has any information on it. Here we meet Mark Gatiss, who plays the museum curator. He knows that Ben's house stands on the ground where Geep Manor once stood, and once Ben finds out the manor had quite a reputation, he asks the curator to tell him some of the stories. The stories he tells him form the first 2 episodes. The story in episode 1 is set in 1786, and we meet Joseph Bloxham, played by Philip Jackson. He buys and improves Geep Manor after capitalising on an investment which ruined his fellow spectators. Strange noises are heard behind the newly installed wainscoting. Is it a ghost or a projection of his guilt? Watch to find out. Andy Nyman and Julian Rind-Tutt, apologies if I've pronounced his name incorrectly, are excellent as Bloxham's friends. The cast in the whole thing is just great. And the story in this episode sets the tone for the coming episodes. Shout out to the set designer, they did an incredible job. If you have the DVD, watching the behind the scenes extras are really fascinating, as is the commentary. Episode 2 takes us to a costume ball in 1927, where the house is now owned by the de Montmory family, and during the ball, young Felix de Montmory announces his engagement to his girlfriend Ruth, much to the surprise and annoyance of his grandmother and his friends Billy and Catherine. Ruth doesn't come from inherited wealth like Felix and his friends, and she feels like an outsider and not good enough to marry Felix. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Felix's grandmother, played by the fabulous Jean Marsh, is deeply perturbed by the announcement. She knows that this engagement is doomed, but won't say why. Meanwhile, Ruth begins to notice a new guest at the party, dressed as a bride. I really like this episode. I love anything set in the 20s due to the costumes and set decoration. It's creepy and the cast is excellent. Again, I don't want to say too much about these episodes because I don't want to spoil anything for you. Episode 3 is set in the modern day and concerns Ben himself. He tries to give the door knocker to the curator, who convinces Ben to hold on to it, and so he keeps it and hangs it on his own door. We discover that Ben is going through a breakup. His girlfriend is pregnant, and he's feeling the existential dread that comes along with being a parent and feeling like you're not prepared for its arrival. He's going through it, and Ben is about to find out that he should have left that door knocker in the ground where he found it. After hanging the knocker on his door, he starts to experience things going bump in the night, and the stories he's been told start to play on his mind. I'm going to leave it there in terms of what happens in the episode because it's a good story and I don't want to spoil it for you, especially when I know that there aren't that many people who've seen it. I thoroughly recommend you check out Crooked House. It's available on DVD, Amazon Prime, and YouTube. Go, enjoy, soak up those spooky vibes, and get yourself ready for Halloween. It is the most wonderful time of the year. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider becoming a subscriber and leave a comment to help feed the algorithm gods. Let me know if you've seen Crooked House, and if so, what did you think about it? Would you recommend it to others? And did you clock the Derren Brown cameo? Let me know. If you really liked this video and would like to support my channel further, you can buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link to my account in the description box below. It's really easy to use, you'll get a shout out in my next video, and believe me, my caffeine addiction is eternally grateful. Have a great day, give your pets a hug, and stay spooky.